I present Queen Amidala, recently elected ruler of the Naboo, who speaks on our behalf.
We all know Star Wars is about wars in space, right? But who is fighting? How are they fighting? Why are they fighting? The answers to these questions are why we have movies. But they answer more questions than just what Star Wars is about. In this video, I'm going to explore what I think is actually going on in the Star Wars universe, how it's actually all about two people, and what they can tell us about the world that inspired them. When I was a kid, I remember not being allowed to watch Star Wars, or even engage with it. But of course I wanted to because my older siblings were obsessed. Turns out there were some Star Wars coloring books at the kids program I was in because the prequels were in process at the time. So I wound up engaging with episodes 2 and 1 before the others. I had had it spoiled for me that Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father, and I came to care about Anakin Skywalker, but because I wasn't really sure what the chronology was in these movies, it still took a while for me to realize that Anakin was predestined to become Vader. I remember realizing it slowly over time and feeling the gradual creep of betrayal before I finally saw some merchandise in Walmart with the 3 stages of Anakin on it: Pod Racer, Horny Jedi, and Masked Dragon, and taking that for confirmation. Those coloring books caused me to have a bit of an unusual relationship with the prequel movies, mind you, where I didn't know how bad most people thought they were, and to this day I tend to give them a bit more of a pass than others do. These days, however, public opinion has been shifting back in favor of them, partly in response to Disney's purchase and besmirchment of the franchise. Hindsight makes 1 through 3 hit differently.
Looky, Senator.
And I could ramble for hours about any of hundreds of reasons why they're better than the sequels, and why I personally prefer them to the original series.
What with the rebellion and all?
You know of the rebellion against the Empire?
Frankly, it all boils down to Padme. Star Wars is the story of the war between Padme and Palpatine. These two are foils from the ground up, a fact which rarely gets properly showcased.
May I suggest the Senator be placed under the protection of your graces?
And they tell us explicitly what their warring ideologies are about.
I'm not interested in getting into a war here. As a member of the Senate, maybe I can find a diplomatic solution to this mess.
Chronologically, they're some of the first characters we're ever introduced to, and both remain important throughout the saga. There is, however, an unfortunate difference which leads to one of them getting a lot more time in our heads.
The Republic will be reorganized into the First Galactic Empire!
Palpatine shifts the power dynamic and equilibrium of the entire galaxy, while Padme sits by and looks pretty.
With thunderous applause.
Pity hot.
At least, that's the way it looks in the movies. I truly believe that George came up with an almost incomparable masterpiece trilogy when he designed the prequels. But unfortunately, a lot of things got in his way. For starters, despite getting 2 of the world's sexiest people to play Anakin and Padme, Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman appear to have had no chemistry together whatsoever. Secondly, while a master planner, George has a bit of a problem with dialogue.
I think those new droids are going to work out fine. In fact, also thinking about our agreement, about me staying on another season.
The entire 6-film saga is a testament to just how bad at this he is, and it got in his way big time.
The entire Starfleet couldn't destroy the whole planet or take 1,000 ships with more firepower than I've...
Leaving his poor actors to grind the sand out of their gears the hard way.
I don't like sand.
Both the actors who played Anakin in the prequels get a lot of hate for their performances.
You mean I get to come with you in your starship?
And I believe that in both cases this is unearned. If Lucas weren't an auteur style of director, we could have gotten something much better fit together, and their performances would have benefited.
I'll make sure Mom doesn't sell you or anything.
Sell me?
Frankly, the whole series would.
Oh my.
Padme is perhaps the most underappreciated character in all of Star Wars.
And don't forget, she's a politician and they're not to be trusted.
She gets written off as naive eye candy, and while she certainly starts out naive and turns into eye candy, she's a lot more than just those things.
I will not condone a course of action that will lead us to war.
At first, she's a pacifist, refusing to entertain the notion of a military resistance to the Trade Federation's invasion even when her capital city is occupied. Even later in life, when she develops an appreciation for aggressive negotiations, she still holds out hope that diplomacy is the answer.
Maybe I can find a diplomatic solution to this mess.
Even after the galaxy has been ripped to shreds by a war against which she fought tooth and nail in the Senate, she still believes diplomacy to be the best conclusion, when at long last she has exhausted all hope of avoiding violence. It is diplomatically that she wages war, reaching out to the Gungans for help and then leading a surgical strike to capture enemy leadership in Episode 1, and forming in a deleted scene from Episode 3 a secret alliance of disillusioned senators who will go on to create the rebellion. I sometimes give her flack for the scene where Anakin tells her,
I killed them. I killed them all.
And she just says,
To be angry is to be human.
but upon closer analysis, this might be the moment that really saved the galaxy. If she had met his confession with rejection, however justified, the wedge between them would have widened. They never would have married. Palpatine would have been able to hire more assassins to finish what Zam started. Anakin would have lacked the one influence in his life that wasn't toxic. The rebellion would have taken a lot longer to get started. Luke and Leia would never have been born, and the Empire would have lasted a lot longer. More planets would have been destroyed, more lives ended or ruined. How much did Padme save in this scene? I don't know. We will never know. It is beyond counting. The thing is, though, that she doesn't know either. She has no idea she's saving civilization as it is known in the Star Wars universe. So, why does she respond this way? Well, while an evil person might encourage Anakin to revel in his darkness, or a naive person might cut him off and report the incident to the Jedi Council,
He's a Jedi, all right.
Padme does neither of these things.
Believe it or not, I heard he freed her and married her. Tell me a bit of that, eh?
She asks herself what caused him to react this way. She opens up. She reaches out. She sees that he's angry, and she understands that this is human. Should he be held accountable for his actions? Yes. Yes, he should. If that were to happen, however, what would come next? Well, he would get kicked out of the Jedi Order, Palpatine would offer him a position in his harem of apprentices, and he would still lead armies in the Clone Wars, but having already fallen to the dark side. He would not be married to Padme, and therefore she would not be invulnerable to Palpatine's machinations. He would become Darth Vader earlier. The saga would be even darker than it already is. I'm telling you, it is impossible to overstate how important it is that Padme does not pass this secret up the chain of command in the corrupt system they occupy. She understands that Anakin's darkness is coming from a place of hurt, and that the solution to that problem does not lie in hurting him more. Her ability to meet violence with empathy makes her, frankly, the strongest character in the saga. Anakin has lived his life since having to leave his mom in slavery on Tatooine in terror of losing people he loves, looking for people who will not leave him, and
Even learn to stop people from dying.
Padme is relatively unconcerned with her own life, not looking to end it, but seemingly more worried for the safety of her baby when he tells her he dreamed of her death. Her love is selfless, but his is selfish. She remains resolved to the moment she dies that she will never give up on him. She is the perfect wife whether he deserves her or not. Please note that this is by her choice, not by necessity, and not by conformance to social norms. In fact, it runs directly contrary to social norms. When Obi-Wan needs to find Anakin, he knows he can manipulate her into providing a ride he can hitch, because despite the horrible truth of what her husband has become, she still remains ready to accept him, to reach out to him, to bring him back. Even when he, for the first time, turns his violence against her, she does not fight back, does not turn against him, despite what he believes.
The Jedi turned against me. Don't you turn against me?
What she says is,
You're going down a path I can't follow.
she would have gone with him anywhere else. Even when she gives up her life force while birthing the rebellion, she still does not turn her back on her husband.
There's good in him.
We know she's right. A lot of people, myself included, have given her shit for this trait. But I actually find it less annoying in her than in other characters. Her stance of accepting Anakin with all his flaws positions her as the one he opens up to, the only person who can rival the hook Darth Sidious has in him. This scene is the closest we get to him ever threatening her before Mustafar.
What if the democracy we thought we were serving no longer exists? And the Republic has become the very evil we've been fighting to destroy?
I don't believe that. And you're sounding like a separatist.
And even this comes at the terminus of the Clone Wars and serves as build-up to what's coming. An earlier version of the script for The Revenge of the Sith saw Padme whip out a knife and hold it to Anakin's throat before backing down.
You brought him here to kill me!
No!
But I can see why this got cut. Much like a subplot where she's cheating with Obi-Wan,
You're with him!
This would completely undermine the character we've spent 3 movies establishing, robbing the finale of Episode 6 of its poignancy. It is with his mother's ideology, though he probably doesn't know it, that Luke finally gets through to his father in Return of the Jedi.
Your thoughts betray you, Father. I feel the good in you.
Everything we see Luke go through in this scene is something he gets from Padme.
If you will not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will.
Although he does ascend to violence in defense of those he loves, using his attachment and love to overpower the enemy the Jedi failed to destroy, he ultimately brings it back to pacifism. Remember that bad boy from Episode 1?
I will not condone a course of action that will lead us to war.
To a belief that diplomacy can bring Anakin back to the self he wishes to be.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Under torture, he meets violence with empathy. If Padme had not laid the groundwork, no one could have pulled this off. But because she did, Anakin chooses her, finally, over Palpatine. Padme wins. Anakin destroys the Sith because of her. There are so many angles to this character that don't get nearly enough attention. How did she remain so pure through so much hardship? What do all of her outfits mean? Is she sleeping with Obi-Wan? Why did Lucas tell us so explicitly what place she holds in his mythology?
Are you an angel? What?
How cool would it be to watch The Phantom Menace for the first time again and not know she's the queen? Ever notice how when she does finally go to war, she's always leading from the front? Stop to think about the fact that before Anakin shut down the droid army, she had already won the battle by capturing the Viceroy?
Now, Viceroy, we will discuss a new treaty.
If I explored every reason why I wish she had gotten more screen time to a granular level, this video would be several hours long. Just writing the script makes me want to read the novelizations of the prequels. There could be more of this type of content later on, as I do have a lot of opinions about Star Wars, past and future, and maybe we'll explore some of these things a little deeper. If you would like that, then please like this, and subscribe if you have not. Also, please consider checking out my book, which is linked in the description below and has only a little bit to do with Star Wars, but I have to plug it everywhere I can because I'm terrible at marketing. It's kind of like Conan the Barbarian meets Mad Max meets Star Wars meets Gravity Falls meets Teen Titans meets Lord of the Rings, with a lot of sex and edgy trigger warnings because I didn't understand things as well back in 2015 as I do now. Anyway, I'll be looking for you in the next one, and until then, take care of yourselves, okay? Love you.